Better look for that too.
Just need Russell. He's not, is he in? Okay.
You want us to sign?
No, you just pass it down.
on.
Y'all just read these, you've already read last month's closed session minutes. We just didn't get them approved. You've read those, but these you have not, so we will approve the closed session minutes all at one time under me. That gives you time to read, and we'll approve all the minutes, but the closed session until we get to my agenda.
So we don't need to, we need to sign them or not?
No, which you approve, I saw.
No, everybody's name.
No, we have.
Yeah, that's right, you do. Please do, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Did you sign them?
No, I didn't. That's why I asked. Let them read it. and then
Okay,
sign
when it comes back to,
I found this,
yeah, then I figured I would just have it there to show you.
I did happen upon it,
Oh, okay.
and this is after the fact, after you,
Didn't hear my voice, other than, no, they're telling me, we can't hear you, I don't know what happened.
you could get parts of it, but not all of
Well, it was kind of garbled, I think, so. It's too bad, but. Is it, now I have, is it 6 o'clock? I have 4 minutes till, but I will yield to the board, so we can start. Is it 6:01? No, more. Okay, well. We call ourselves to order, this evening. And we're glad to have, let's see, Russell, are you with us?
Yes, ma'am, I am.
Great. And we're glad to have those of you in the audience with us tonight. So we will begin, and we need an adoption of the agenda, a motion to adopt the agenda as presented.
And Madam Mayor, we sent out to everybody in the Sunshine House where we have added our 2 presentations. We need to amend the agenda for that.
Now, where is, oh yeah, the, under number 5.
Okay, yes, we need to amend it to include the 2 presentations. Mr. Mike Dow from the DO is here to talk about the work plant repairs in the state revolving fund, and then Field Trip is also here from my country to talk about the long-term and the micro lines.
Okay, so we need to approve the minutes, as amended.
I'll make a motion to approve them as amended,
The agenda.
the agenda.
Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
You made the motion? Who made the motion?
You made
I
the
did.
Oh,
motion.
Judy, I get y'all mixed up with your muffled voice.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay, so motion's been made by Judy and second by Dunning. Are we in agreement?
Yes.
Yes.
And Russell, you want to, okay, so the agenda is amended, is approved as amended. We'll move forward to, I didn't think to have, is there anybody running on the public comment?
Dan.
Danny, okay, so Danny, we will now have a public comment from you, please.
Good evening, Mayor, Town Council, Town staff. Sergeant at Arms. I can't talk about it. I know you need more.
Yes,
Tonight I wanted to come and tell you, I know that you want to take up the issue of events on the town square. This month, perhaps next month. Sharon has decided not to pursue Hero Day this year. So you can take that off of the list and not be expecting an application. But I want to thank you on behalf of her and myself for the town's participation and sponsorship of that event for 12 years. I think we had a good time and had some good things happen, and a lot of enjoyment, a lot of things went on there. So it's really been good. It's been a good run, but like a lot of things, it's come to a close, I guess. And maybe somebody will pursue it in a different fashion, and it will go on. I think it's certainly a worthy cause to do that. So just want the town and town council to know that we certainly appreciate what y'all have done for that event over the years.
Well, thank you for what you and Sharon have done.
You're very welcome. We've enjoyed it. We've had some good times. But we've seen some tears shed too. That memorial wall got a lot of people's attention in ways, that they hadn't thought of. So I'll stop with that, and I've got a minute, so I'll talk just a minute. I know you want to take up the change in the form of government. And I was here the last time that happened when Mayor Holland pursued the 5-member council, the mayor's right to vote, and 4-year term. And in a word, was that good or bad? I think it was good. And as you pursue this change in government, I think that very well could be good. But I'm certain you can expect some second guessing from somebody if it were to happen. That's just where we are, I think, as a society. So as you continue your deliberations in that, I wish you well. And thank you all for being here.
Well, thank you, Danny. Thank you for joining us. Is there anyone else to speak? Okay, that's okay.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Hope everybody's well.
We are.
Just wanted to give everybody a quick update on what's going on with the ABC store. Last month, we did reach an agreement to purchase property in South Pizza Hut there on West Main Street. So we're working forward with that right now. We're waiting. We're in that 30-day limbo period of waiting for the ABC Commission's approval. We hope to get on the April agenda. As of this morning, we were not on that agenda yet, so if not, it'll be the May meeting before we get approval from the ABC Commission before we can move forward. So we're kind of trying to push and get moved up onto that April meeting. So to give you an idea of how business is going right now, business has been really good with the pandemic going on. Last year we saw a spike in sales in March. At first it was people just that didn't want to come out often. They were just kind of holding up. Then it really slowed down. At this point right now, we're up 30% over last year. So we've had a pretty remarkable year so far. As the books closed last night, we were already over $1.5 million for the year. So we've had a really good year so far. Any other questions about that?
Well, that's music to, I'm sure, your ears as well as ours.
Yeah, sales like that, time can look forward to another one of those nice distribution checks here coming up as soon as all the books get settled from the last fiscal quarter. So look forward to being able to hand that over here soon.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for your update. Is that the end of our, okay. Thank you very much. So we will move on from public comment to consideration of the minutes. This would include closed session for February the 4th and the regular meetings. With the last session, we will approve once, I guess, has it had, well, wait a minute. Let's just look at, we can go ahead and approve them. There are 4 of us who will approve out of 5. Russell, you can read them sometime, I guess, at your leisure, but 4 out of 5 would be the majority to approve the closed session minutes for March the 4th as well as for February the 4th. So is there a motion to approve all sets of the minutes, closed as well as regular?
I like that motion.
Okay,
I'll second.
are we in agreement? Okay, so we are. Thank you. All right, we're going to start with a public hearing. Before we open the public hearing, we'd like to hear from Michelle Ball on, I guess, the closeout of the Meadow Road and Indian Trail Sewer Line. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay.
Actually, I'll say Indian Trail Middle Road, because I think that's the way I've typed it so many
Okay,
times.
that's fine.
Okay. Well, the purpose of the public hearing that we're getting ready to have is to give the opportunity for citizen input concerning the closeout of Burnsville CDBG Infrastructure Grant 17I-2975. The grant provided funds to replace the sewer lines along Indian Trail and Meadow Road. The town received a total of $1.1 million in community development block grant infrastructure funds from the North Carolina Department of Environmental Quality to aid in the replacement of the sewer lines along those roads, replacing 40-plus-year-old undersized pipes. The project consists of installing 3,695 linear feet of 8-inch sewer line, 210 feet of service lines, 22 manholes, and 34 service connections serving 37 houses and one 34-unit apartment complex. The CDBGI funding that the town received can only assist areas where there's at least 51% low and moderate income in the area, and which is considered to be low and moderate is considered a household that makes less than 80% of the county median income, which for a two-person household right now is about $37,200. And this project, we did door-to-door surveys. The mayor went out with me a couple of times, and we surveyed every house and most of the apartments up there. And I think Dylan did, no, I don't know if you went out with it. That was a little bit before your time. But anyway, we surveyed each household, and we got enough information to show that it was 77.6% low and moderate income on those two streets. The project is complete, and it came in under budget. As I said, the town received $1.1 million in CDBGI funding, and the following expenses, the following was expended during the program. $804,133.88 in construction, $129,229.06 in engineering, and that includes the design, construction oversight, advertising, and permits as well. And $106,158 for administration, and included the environmental review, and which the COG did both of those, and then the engineering report, which McGill Associates did, what the engineers did. This made a total of, that is not right. Yeah, it is. I'm sorry. It makes a total of $1,309,000. I'm sorry, that is not right. $1,039,520.94. I got my 3 and my 0 mixed up. Because there was only $1.139 million spent, that leaves $60,479.06 remaining that will be deobligated back to the Department of Commerce, or excuse me, not Department of Commerce, the Department of Environmental Quality, and my two CDBG places mixed up. And that will actually go into a pot to actually fund further projects, or if a project needs more money. There is a little bit of a stickler with this one, and we ran into it. I don't know how many of you remembered what happened last time when we did. This is the same pot of money that the Peterson Trailer Park was fixed with. This is a HUD rule, not a state rule, that at least 10% of the funding that is deobligated back to the state has to come out of the admin line item. Unfortunately, there was only $3,842 left in the admin line item. I tried to pad it as much as I could, had no idea we would come in this much under budget. And because of that, DEQ has found that the town will be responsible in paying back $2,205.91. And that will be put back into the same pool and be deobligated with the other funds. And this will bring the CDBG administration cost down to $103,999.06. $952.09. And in turn, we'll adjust that final project amount to $1,037,315.03. I know that's a lot of numbers, and that's why I tried to make sure you had all this beforehand so you could follow with me. So the remaining grant funds and the town's repayment of $62,684.97 will be de-obligated and returned back to DEQ. Do you all have any questions for me regarding the project?
Do any of the board members have a question for Michelle on her report?
Okay.
And again, I apologize for all the numbers, but
Well, that's
we had to
fine.
get it in there and get it in the record.
That goes with the territory, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, thank you for your report, which we will then follow your report by have a motion to open the public hearing.
I'll make a motion to open the public hearing.
Is
I'll
there a second to that?
I'll second.
Is Bunny, you're okay with that? And Russell, I assume you are too.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so we will now open our public hearing and entertain any public input. Is there one person? Danny, okay, Danny, if you would like to address us, please, at this time.
I sometimes feel like I'm only one person in town. These projects like this are critical to the success of the town, and I applaud you all for pursuing this to its end and seeing that it happens. And I told Phil and Michelle, I'm always happy to see them in Yancey County because there's usually some money attached somewhere.
There
Sometimes
is.
they take, but most of the time it is a benefit. But I do think it's a good project, and you could certainly mark me in the column being for it.
Well, thank you very much. We will all say amen to that. That is the end of only one person who signed up for public input. So is there a motion to close the public hearing? Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
And Denise, and I'm sure Russell, you agreed to close it as well.
Yes.
So we will close the public hearing and come back to consideration of the closeout report and certificate of completion. Michelle, did you want to give us language for how that motion should be worded?
Just however, it would be just you accepting the closeout. There should be closeout forms for your signature
Okay,
that are included as a closeout performance report that will be submitted after these meeting minutes next month. After they're approved, I send in the whole package to DEQ to close out the project.
so we just need to have a motion to approve the closeout report?
Correct.
Okay, is there a motion stated as such?
I'll make that
Approve the
motion.
Closeout report.
Okay, and is there, Judy, you
I'll
second
second,
it?
yeah.
And Denise, down at the end, and Russell on the fall.
Yeah.
So, I believe that the motion has carried, so very good. I want to thank you again, Michelle, for coming with your report. Okay, thank you very much. So that concludes our public hearing. Now, let's see, is Mike Dowd here? I see him.
He's on.
Oh. Oh, okay, so Mike, you are with us, and if you would like to talk with us about the water plant repairs and the state revolving fund, please.
Yes, ma'am. I'm having some technical difficulties with the camera. Can everybody hear me okay?
Well, you're a little bit garbled, I mean, is that just me, or? Are you
How's that?
talking?
I can hear it.
You can hear him, okay, well, keep talking and maybe you'll clear up.
Okay, I'll give it a shot. Okay, so the water plant project is one that we have been trying to get off the ground for several years now. As you know, it was tied to the MC pump station project through the same funding source. Because we've had not any success getting successful bids, we have been talking with Heather and Dylan about the path forward and also with Phil. And what we're recommending is to go to the state, their SRF fund, in April with a new application for an increased loan and grant amount for just the water plant, with the understanding that hopefully current funding will remain in place. And this new application will be offset by the current funding. If that makes sense. And Heather, maybe you can help me say that a little bit more clearly in person.
Right, so, the initial amount of funding approval that we received from the state was $341,000 in loan funds and another $114,000 in grant funds. And, I know that you should all have a copy of the preliminary opinion of the probable cost. So as Mike stated, there were parts of the project that we never could get through the bidding process to come within the budget that we had available. And so we've had discussions with the state because they're requesting, of course, that we file an extension of time with them, and they've already given us many extensions of time because I think this funding was approved in 2017. And at that point, we just had frank discussions with them, and I know Mike has had several discussions with them about the fact that there were certain parts of the project, particularly this equalization basin, that was not just much more than what was anticipated the cost to be. So this is the new cost estimate for the new application, and what we're hoping, after discussions with the state, that they will leave the funding we've already got in place and then add to it, much like we had to do with the ONC pump station, and allow us to have the larger amount. And we're hoping on the water side of this that we will also possibly be able to get more grant funding out of this, because it's typically 25% of your project amount.
That's correct.
Phil's here, and if he wants to talk a little bit with y'all about the process of putting in a new application.
Okay. Bill?
Thank you. Process pretty simple, like Mike explained, you just apply. But instead of just adding on the two new elements to the project and the cost overrun, pretty much package it as a whole new application for the same project, but with the addition of the settling basin and the media filter element. We'll need a resolution from the town prior to that submission at the end of April. So I've talked to Heather about scheduling that for your work session on April 15th.
Okay. So what are we approving then?
You're not, this is just for your information at this time, and, we need to, at that time, if you're comfortable with us going forward with the application, then Phil can get that ready and then bring it back on April the 15th. Well, we wanted to talk to you at a later point in the agenda about having a work session for budget.
Okay.
And at that point, we could get the resolution that the state will require.
So we just need to approve, have a motion to go forward with the project. Is that correct?
Okay. Yes.
Yes, well, I'll make that motion that we certainly do move forward. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Are we in agreement? We are. Russell, you are in agreement? Okay. So, thank you, Phil.
You're welcome. Mike, is that
Yes, I'm here.
kind of how Mike's our communication director to folks at DEQ, so I just want to make sure I'm relaying that right. He and Heather and I spoke about this yesterday.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. That's how you described it.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So anything else you need to share with us, Mike?
Not this time, Mayor. I think we'll just, and I will try my best to be up there for the 15th if that's helpful.
Yes,
So was not a good night schedule wise.
yes, is that right, Heather?
Yes.
Okay, so now what about, Jamie, do you need to have 2 cents worth here?
He's on the next
Oh.
presentation.
Well, I've got Phil True and Jamie McMahon is, oh, okay, excuse me. Pardon me, Ron.
Thank you, Mike.
Yes,
Thanks.
thank you. Thanks for joining us. And Phil, you as well, and also Michelle for the earlier. So we will move on to then. Is there anything else we need to do with Mike?
No, he's not thinking yet.
Oh, he's left us. Well, adios. Okay, so we'll move on to B, which is, excuse me, includes Phil and Jamie on the Michaelville water line extension funding. Is that correct?
Correct.
So gentlemen, you both may share the microphone or however you wish to. Okay, so we'll listen to Phil first and then Jamie, if you so inclined.
Like I asked Mike to fill in the make sure I was right last time, I asked Jamie to do the same on this one. But, the county's been, as you all know, county's been, recruiting the new industry, Little League Farms to the county. They've changed locations, they're now going out in Michaelville.
Yes,
There is need for infrastructure improvements to serve that business. So we convened a meeting of funding agencies in North Carolina about a month ago and just presented the project to see what, how the timing and their funding availability match with the business needs and town's needs. Based on the new jobs and the private sector investment out there, we're trying to get additional improvements, not just extension of the water line. We explored the opportunity to make other improvements to the town's water system infrastructure, namely replacement of new line to Bowens Creek to serve as secondary water supply. So kind of still in negotiations with some funding agencies about those, but we're definitely pursuing Appalachian Regional Commission funds, and we'll submit an application, pre-application on by April 21st for that. And we'll be developing an application to the U.S. Economic Development Administration for matching funds for that project. I think that's, again, there's no action tonight, but just it's kind of a heads up on what our strategy is based on discussion with Heather and Jamie about this.
okay. Sounds good. Do you,
So the pre-application is due the 21st of this month, and then a full application would not be due until July. Is
Correct.
that correct? So you'll be hearing a lot more about the process and where we are with it.
okay,
Yeah.
do-
We've had discussions with McGill on pricing, just preliminary cost estimates of 1.4 million for the water line extension, and another 1.6 million for the additional upgrades to the water system. But that's, those are very preliminary, and McGill's working on coming up with more detailed cost estimates for purposes of the applications.
so we'll be hearing more about when the applications,
Correct.
okay. Do you need any action from us tonight?
No.
Just appreciation of your work on this. Yes.
Okay.
Now, does Jamie need to have the amen, or what are we doing here?
The only thing I'll add to that is just, as Phil mentioned, the only conversation we've not yet had, which we plan to have, I think it's 2 weeks, we could get more hopefully, to put the funding together for the entire proposed scope of work that we have to have. They're the remaining piece of the puzzle, so to speak, based on the funding formula that ARC and EDA. So we have a conversation with Golden League early next week that will give us the last bit of information that we need for Bill to move in county pays the pay for the pre-app, particularly when they are superintendent, is the first time of all.
Correct.
So the more you tell students, particularly about the scope of the project and what planning you may have, coming in from normally, that's the only part of the picture that's not clear yet, but early next week,
It certainly sounds very promising. So do we need any other comments or any questions for Phil and or Jamie? Anything else you all wish to leave with us?
While I'm up here, I would like to talk about another unrelated project.
Okay.
Michelle, discussed with y'all and closed out that Indian Trail Meadow Road CDBG infrastructure project. She mentioned the CDBG infrastructure project in Peterson Trailer Park.
Yes.
The town currently, that program, I'll note, requires no match. So we've really tried to help y'all maximize that program over the years through those two past projects. But I would mention, because it's been so long since we applied, we still have one pending. Hopefully decisions will be made at the state level this month. And it's for, I don't know, 1.9 or $2 million for sewer line replacement along West Main Street. So hopefully we'll have some good news to share on that soon.
Well, we certainly hope so. And thank you both. We love these no match grants.
Yeah.
So keep those coming.
Makes it easy for me to stand up here and mention.
It certainly does, but our appreciation to both you and Michelle for your assistance with us. And Michelle, I certainly appreciate the times we have walked the streets together to get the information needed for the surveys. So could not have done it without you. Is anything else you would like to ask or comment on concerning Phil and Michelle's report?
I guess that we're just dependent on them. Thank you so much for what you've done and will do.
We appreciate every bit of it.
Sure thing. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. And thank you as well, Michelle. Okay, so I believe, let me get my glasses on here. Well, we to have a motion? No, okay, excuse me. Okay, so that concludes our presentations, and we will now move on to the administrator's update. And our thanks again to Phil and Michelle for coming to join us this evening from Boone. Hope it doesn't snow on you on the way back. Okay, we will move on to Heather then.
Okay, once again, our COVID update, Yancey County remains in the yellow category on the state's county alert system. Vaccines continue to roll out, and as of April 7th, anyone ages 16 and up will be eligible to get a vaccine.
Good.
This week, the governor put out 3 new executive orders. First one, 206, extends North Carolina's statewide residential eviction moratorium through June the 30th of this year.
Okay.
And then the second one was 207, which expedites the process for unemployment insurance claims. And that also will be in effect until June the 30th of 2021. Then Executive Order 205, I guess Brian has left, but it extends the North Carolina Alcoholic Beverage Control Commission's authorization to permit the delivery or carry out of mixed beverages as an alternative to on-site consumption. And that is good through April 30th of 2021. In other COVID news, which is actually some good news, federal stimulus money from the American Recovery Plan Act is headed our way. We are told the league has put out a listing. League of Municipalities has put out a listing, and at this time, Burnsville is slated to receive an award of $480,000. in direct federal stimulus money. We understand there may be some more money that is coming, much in the same way the CARES Act money did, from the federal government to the state government, and then there may be additional distributions to counties and towns after that. We're not sure about those figures yet. This will be paid out, it's our understanding, in two split lump sums, so $240,000 should come 30 days from May 15th, so June 15th, and then the next payment will come 12 months after that.
So are there any restrictions on how we spend that money?
Well, U.S. Treasury has not put out any guidelines yet, so we don't know exactly how it can be spent. There are some, there's language in the act itself that says that this, what would be most applicable to us is that we can use it for water and sewer infrastructure improvements. But they have not given us those absolute guidelines yet, so everybody's just sort of holding tight to see what they do say. But certainly that's an area where we always can use some funding. So we are hopeful that they will be unrestricted enough. Now, the state funding may be more restricted. They will come up with their plan as they did with the CARES Act money.
Okay.
Our SOC with the state on our sewer projects and moratoriums. Dylan and I had a kickoff meeting with the engineers from Withers Ravenel this week, and they're working on preparing our certificate or certification and narrative for the state application. I'd say they have 9 weeks in their timeline left. They've been gathering information, and I believe Randy Hintz was there today, getting copies of our maps and different things like that he needed as they process through this. Employee evaluations. I believe all the departments have completed their employee evaluations at this time, and I would say for the department head evaluations, they went well. And we talked about professional development and departmental goals, some of which are already underway, some of the things that we talked about. So, and I also just sort of along that line, I'll let you know that we have started a formal bi-monthly department head meeting to discuss ongoing and future projects, their status, and also departmental goals. We found we've all have so much going on, it's a good idea to get together a couple times a month and do status checks and plan. So Chad's been really instrumental in keeping us on track with that. He's got it on everybody's calendar. He's taking care of formal agendas and that sort of thing. The last thing I have on my list before we go into tax report is the Toe River Valley Hazard Mitigation Plan.
Yes.
And every several years, a new plan has to be adopted, approved by the state, and it basically allows us to qualify if we have one of these plans or a part of one of these plans to qualify for federal funding should there be some type of disaster in our community. And we are part of the plan which covers Yancey, Mitchell, Avery, and McDowell counties and their respective municipalities. So we will need, I believe there was a resolution in your packets.
There is.
And we will need a motion to adopt the plan. The county has already adopted it.
So we need a motion to adopt the resolution to adopt the 2021 update of the Toe River Regional Hazard Mitigation Plan.
I'll make that motion.
Good.
Whatever you say.
Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second.
Denise has seconded. All in favor, please say aye. Russell? Okay, so we have approved that resolution, Heather.
Thank you, Mr. Jeff Howard, I'm very appreciative. And now move on to the tax report.
Yes.
The delinquent tax payers list was published in the paper. We currently have collected $800,456.24, which is 96.43% of what we had outstanding. And I want to really recognize and thank Jackie Hensley. She's done an excellent job and really stayed on top of making sure that notices have gone out and put a lot of hard work into the process. She and I have been discussing some of the accounts that still remain delinquent and are coming up with a plan on how we move forward on those, and hopefully we'll get as close to 100% collection for 2020 as we can. So
Sounds good.
that is my report there.
Okay, well,
If you guys have any questions?
any questions for Heather? Other than thank you for your good report. Okay, we will move on to our department updates, and we'll start with Mr. Lundy.
All right, so sewer plant update, on point 3, treatment train. We are having Jason Hobson with Genesis come back up on April 6th. We're taking that plant back down to readjust the mechanical parts. It's kind of lopsided right now, and so it's normal to have something like that happen. And then they're going to be moving one of the valves back over the radiator for the treatment process to be adequate, back to the way it's supposed to be working, and then just kind of touching up some of the coating on the walls that have been pitting or grinding back down, recoat some of that stuff. So that'll be next week. That's all for that one. OMC pump station update. They've started working, I think it's been like 2 weeks now, I want to say, something like that. They're kind of just grading out everything, and took the fence out, and broke out one of the wet wells in order to start basically getting everything set up and poured and ready for the pumps. The pumps will be here end of April. They're thinking the last week of April they should be arriving, and then they'll be able to set everything, and they can set the new electrical stuff up, the new generator, connect all the pumps, and then tear down the rest of the stuff and get them underway. So as of right now, the pumps won't be here until end of April, but it's faster than what they thought at first. So that's all I got.
Okay. We are interested in that the Little League Farm update, so thank you very much. Leslie, we will now yield to you, please.
Well, since I can keep it.
Yeah.
It's as clear as mud.
Well, thank you. That's what we like.
Okay, so first off, first page, and I remember the first page in A on the budget amendments I sent out last night. This is, we recognized the COVID relief money when we got it in the revenue line and added it to the 420. So it's all shaken out now, and it's supposed to just go for supplies or first responder pay, which is police or fire department. So I've reallocated and shifted around and decreased where we had originally put it. And I'm making 2 new salary lines, one in the police, one in the fire. So I'm increasing those lines. And then in this second section here, I'm actually just decreasing the regular police to offset back the other way, and the fire. And so then we're doing this contribution to general fund reserve. And we're gonna kind of wear that number out pretty much. All right, the next one is B. And that is for the concrete at the new fire department where we done the stabilization for the dirt. Sharon said that was a weakness, that I hadn't included the contribution match in the actual operating budget. Just thought that the capital project was good enough, but evidently not. So I just wanted to put that on its own, so it'd be easy, to break out all these, easier to look at. Then we've got C, page 3, and that is for this SOC disagreement, about the sewer with the state, the engineering fees. Withers Ravenel has gotten us a quote
on doing their plan for us. There's a little bit of money left in the professional services line. So I'm decreasing the sewer penalties by 20,000 and I'm decreasing the electric at the waste treatment plant and the pump stations because there was a little extra in there to offset it. Then we have D. So where we first talked about on the first one that the general fund reserve, all that money was going to that where we'd saved on the salaries this year.
Yeah.
So we're going to in turn offset this again and decrease it and then increase the capital outlay on the police department side for a car.
So you're buying a new car?
Yeah, I guess we should buy this car this year while we've got this money, and that way we won't have to budget for one next year.
That sounds pretty good.
Then there's building maintenance. 39,000 of that's going to be for the town center roof, and the other we've got some special projects for buildings that we'd like to look at, and add, have that money for that. This LEO special separation, I know yous are familiar with OPEB and, the insurance after other post-employment benefits. This is the same kind of deal. It's for police. It's like when they retire, you have to pay it like you're 62, I think. And we have not actually started saving for that, but it's a liability on our books and we're having to actually pay and do an actuarial now. So this was a very appropriate time, to use this money specifically, since it was for salaries, to set up a savings. So we're going to try to do 25,000 to that. The sidewalks, Dylan had got a quote. He's going to get another couple quotes, but we'd like to try to get all these done in this fiscal year. And then tech upgrades, to get you guys some new laptops so that it's easier to open presentations and stuff than those Chromebooks. And that one is that. And then there was a safety grant that Dylan had applied for and got from the league. And so we had actually just got that check, and I'm just increasing the revenue line and increasing the expense line. And he's going to purchase some used shoring. So when they get in the hole, if you know what that is, it's metal to go on each side to keep it from caving in.
Sounds good.
All right. Any questions? I know that's a lot.
You're that 250,000 quick, didn't you?
Well, it doesn't take long to spend it when you spend it. So,
Looks good.
all right.
Leslie, thank you for your details.
Oh, well, you're welcome. I need a motion and approval
A motion to approve the report, is that what you're saying?
to
approve the
budget amendments.
Oh, excuse me. Okay, is there a motion to approve the budget amendments that she has reviewed with us?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second? Bunny seconded. And all in favor, we are, and Russell, I'm sure you are too.
Yeah.
Okay. Very good. Okay, well, Leslie, thank you for your.
You're welcome. Then we had set budget dates for the work session, set dates for the budget work session.
Yeah.
April 15th. Does anybody have any conflict with that at 5:30?
With the IRS, maybe.
Well, yeah.
What day did we decide? I don't have my calendar.
I think it's a Thursday.
April 15th is
Yeah.
what time were you thinking of?
5:30, if that's okay.
It's questionable that I'll be available, but maybe.
Okay, well, we had the 22nd if that wasn't okay.
But we will need probably to meet, at least if we're not gonna do it in a work session, because Phil will need to get approval for that, application to the state on the water plant improvements. They, I've sat through their trainings and they make a very, very pointed big deal about no late applications. So you better not wait till the last minute or somebody's gonna be driving it to Raleigh. So I'm sure he doesn't want to drive anything to Raleigh. And he would need, Probably more time than from the 22nd to get it mailed to make sure it gets there because of the way their mail room, they emphasize that with COVID, they're having a hard time getting their mail.
Okay, well, so we're going to approve the April 15th date. And I will see what I can adjust to be available. So everyone has that on their calendar. You too, Russell?
You okay
Yes,
with that,
ma'am.
Russell? Okay.
That would be it. Did we say
5:30?
5:30, yes. Okay, I'll see what I can do. Okay, Leslie, is there something else we need to do there?
No, I think we're good. Unless anybody has any questions.
Let me get that down. How are you, Bunny, with that date? Judy, you're available?
I'm good.
And Denise, how are you with your business? Will that work at 5:30? Okay, very good. Russell has said okay too, so, let's see, where are we? Okay, so on our agenda, April the 15th it will be.
Okay.
Okay. Is that all we need to do for you, Leslie? At this
Yeah,
time?
yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you again.
Well, you're very welcome.
Although Mr. Howe is not here, let's see, I believe, excuse me, he did leave with us his fire department monthly report, which we appreciate his providing that for us. And we've also seen on the website and in the local paper, the report of the progress of our fire department building, which we're very proud of, and Lord knows it's been a long time coming. So we're very grateful for that. And we'll convey that to Niles when we see him soon. Brian, besides a new car, what else have you got to tell us?
Police department wise, we've certainly been busy. Cases have come through a little bit more activity, and that's activity logs. Very fortunate through all of this period to have the staff that we have, and they've all kind of pulled together for some of these things that we've had come up that were off hours and those types of things. And we've had some dedication from some of our guys to follow through with some of these that I've appreciated. As Heather said, we finished our evaluations. That's really all I have for police report. Unless anyone has anything, I'll move on to zoning.
Okay.
Okay. Zoning. I do need to give an update to correct any rumors are out there. AutoZone is still a go. We've not stopped AutoZone. They turned in their building permit package, and they are going to be building again on that lot between the Fast Stop and Pizza Hut. One of those two. That parcel was split into two lots. They'll be building on one of those lots.
This is for who?
AutoZone. They're building a auto parts dealership there between those two. The big news is hot off the press is their zoning revision that we've been working on now for quite a while. It's been a labor of love, I guess, at this point. I'm sure we sent the email, Chad sent an email to everyone maybe an hour before this meeting started that has a link to it. If you didn't get it, or when you go home and check, if you have problems opening that, let us know. We'll do what we can to get you a hard copy or whatever we need to do to get you set up. But that is for you all to just to start to review, to look through. It's set up in a way that the right-hand side has notations of any changes that we've made and some of the justification for those changes. There's a cover letter attached at the very beginning. It's 2 documents. If you could read that cover letter, it kind of explains some of that. We've also set up a email address that's just going to be checked by staff, and it's an opportunity for you to directly, if you run across something that you have a question about, you can just send an email to that, and that way we're able to maintain that for public record and everything for these meetings. We send it out to the board here as well as the planning board. All those have got a copy as well. Our plan is to start this discussion about any corrections, revisions, changes on the meeting we have with the planning board on the April 13th, and then that'll carry over once we get a recommendation for them to this board as well. And we hope to have this finished and done by, what was my target date?
The June 3rd meeting.
The June
So
3rd meeting.
We'll be asking at the May meeting, we hope, that you call the public hearing for the June 3rd meeting. And we'll
This is,
get all the
this is a large
notices.
revision that was mostly brought about by the changes with the North Carolina 160D changes that have been coming for a while. We've also made some other revisions that need to be made, but again, all that kind of notation is within the text. I encourage you, if you have questions as you read through that, don't hesitate to use that email address, ask questions. Even if you're just confused about where something is or anything like that, we'll do our best to get those answered, to maybe shorten up some of the meetings. So maybe some of the smaller questions have kind of already been answered, and then we can discuss any of the bigger issues at those meetings.
Okay.
Anything else about that, Heather? I believe it's been a major project. We worked on it quite a bit. We pulled Chad in for proofreading. We've done everything we can to try to.
We're our own publishing house
But we
now,
made
and
the-
I will say this, that, I have to give Brian a lot of credit. He has definitely done some heavy lifting on this, the new formatting, for the ordinance, and, pulling together. One of the things that's highly recommended was not having these like text lists. You'll see them cascading of what's allowed here, and then you move on to the next district and what's allowed there, and this stuff up here is allowed there too. You're flipping back and forth. It was not user friendly. And I think he's come up with a format by using very simple user charts that have every district listed and all the uses listed, and then you can just look over and see, is it permitted in this district? Is it not permitted? So you're not doing all this flipping back and forth. But I mean, it's been a learning process as he has worked with the public, what works and what doesn't. So a lot of it is reorganization. And then we had a lot of definitions that were left out, or things we regulated and had no definition for. So he did a really thorough job of looking for definitions. Some of them were required by 160D to be changed. But I give him a lot of credit, and Chad has helped us tremendously, like I said, with proofreading and formatting and that sort of stuff. So, and we plan to sort of take our show on the road, and we're gonna meet with James board in 2 weeks and just give them an update and about the passage of the new comprehensive plan and how we think that will hopefully help development and open up, make things more streamlined, less red tape. That's our goal here. And we're also on the chamber's agenda for May to talk to people. So we hope that this will be a fairly painless process as we move through the approval, but we are required by state law to have it updated by July 1. So we're aiming for our June meeting,
Okay.
so we don't have to have multiple meetings in June.
And
Well,
this
it
in no
sounds
way
like-
is a perfect document. I'm sure as you read through, you may see a missing period or if you see a misspelled word, please let me know about any of those things. We've done our best to kind of go through, but I made the last corrections at about 3 o'clock today. So I'm sure there's more to be made. So if you find those, please let me know, and we'll do our best to get that corrected for the final version.
Well, if there's missing periods and hyphens, I guess no new car.
Okay, all right. Then otherwise, now, never mind, it's perfect. There's nothing wrong. It's a perfect
Well,
document.
we'll
That's
be-
that's the update I have, Madam Mayor. Unless anybody has any
Okay.
questions.
Well,
I got
thank
through
you.
the index and stopped.
Okay.
I thought
Okay,
I don't have time for this right now. It is enormous, and it looks, what I saw of it, it looks like a great job.
Well, we put some effort into it. I hope it works out.
I'll let you know.
well, we certainly hope so, for your sake and the new car. Okay, well,
Absolutely.
thank you, Brian,
All
very
right, thank
much, for your work with that zoning code issue. Okay, Corbin, we'll now enjoy hearing from you about the town center.
Yeah, so, past couple months, January through March, typically our slower months, we average about 17 events a month right now. But we're keeping on April with right at 22 to 23, hopefully we'll get another government, so of course. Anyways, we're still staying consistent with those same events we've had this whole year so far. As long with, some restrictions being lifted, getting some more events, in the building, hopefully soon. Area C, we've got it rented out now, hopefully soon. People are coming in, they're setting up. Those already will be getting in. And April and May are looking pretty good. Hopefully we get that spring. Let's see, it's Claudia's show. We're going to get that in and working with her right now to get things settled. Now we're going to raise the capacity.
So what is her show called?
Spring Garden Show.
Okay.
So other than that, that's all I really have to report on. Other things will continue to open up and get more inside more.
Well, we agree also, and thank you for always setting us up so nicely here for our board meetings along with water and whatever else we need. So, thank you. Okay, let's see, I guess I am next. One thing I did leave with everybody, the High Country Council of Government, our virtual legislative day. You can see all who were present except for Senator Ralph Heiss, who had COVID. He did not join us virtually. He was too sick for that. I'm not so sure I know exactly what we accomplished in our discussion. It did get a little political, but other than that, I guess all's well that ends well. I was interested, of course, in thanking for the money, the COVID, the president's package. But I was reminded by some of the legislators here that they did not vote for it. And as I was kind of giving them a nice reprimand about how useful that money was, they unfortunately, or I guess fortunately for them, they realized my speaker device wasn't working. So my words were in vain. But at any rate, there you have that. Now, the second item here is a discussion of a change to the manager-council form of government. And we had discussed this at our February 15th, with the work session, I believe, that for us to think about it and consider it because of the fact that I have stated that I feel it is a good move in the right direction. We have seen how wonderful it is to have a very rock-solid town administrator who is doing an exceptional job, as Heather is doing, and that embracing the town manager form of government, it assures us that we will always have someone like Heather. We hope she doesn't leave us anytime soon, but that this person would become the town manager versus the town administrator, and that they stay on top of our department heads and help us as a board to stay focused on what we need to be focused on with quality of life, business, investments, and growth for the town. I'd ask Jamie to tell us how this process, again, to remind us how this process comes about as a board.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I won't take long and belabor the point too long. We had a good constructive discussion. When we talked in February, quite frankly, the process is not terribly onerous. I think from a legal point of view, basically, this requires the council to take the action to adopt the amendment to the charter that you would convert to a town manager form of government. Doesn't require any legislative act or anything of that nature. So it's purely of the council's own volition. I would take a moment of personal privilege of saying, you know, from my point of view, and I've shared this with you before and would reiterate it, you will never be less busy in the administration of the operations of this town than you are now. I think that's a good way to look at it. If you listen to the work that staff has done on infrastructure, on zoning, on administrative items. On economic development, community development, and on housing projects recently, we hope to undertake in cooperation between EDC and the town. It's a lot of work, a lot of stuff to do. You know, the town manager is by nature of their position in the statute, an employee at will of the council. The upside to that versus an administrative form of government is that it's something that endures. There will come a time when we're all sitting in a recliner somewhere, fussing about whoever happens to be coaching Carolina ball at that time. I had to do my digging. That somebody else will be doing these jobs in the future. And you know, the town is going to continue to experience growth. If you look at the state demographer's projections about the growth of Yancey County and the town of Burnsville, we're on a trajectory. It's moderate growth, but you know, over the next 20 years, we're expected to increase in population. We're fortunate to have these projects, economic development projects that are moving along. Those are going to bring people here. Those people are going to move here. Infrastructure will have to continue to be built out. Housing will have to continue to be a priority. The town will continue to grow. Those are all things that I think that it would be unduly burdensome to expect a council to lift on their own. And God forbid if some point in the future you had people on this council who thought, well, there's no need for us to have an administrator, we'll just do away with that position. I think that would be a disservice to the town. That's of course editorializing from my point of view. But I think if you look, you know, at many towns smaller than Burnsville's, who have a manager form of government, you know, having that staff there, having the permanence of that staff there is important, I think. You're very fortunate to have Heather, who has applied herself in spades to every nook and cranny of the operations of the town, and your other staff as well. You know, we're certainly in constant contact because there's a lot of stuff, a lot of opportunities to do. You have to have full-time staff. I think that's just very pragmatic. It's not a complicated process. You know, it's something the council certainly would think about because it is a permanent change if you convert to the manager form of government. But, you know, other than that, we discussed this at length, as we said, at your meeting in February. I appreciated the opportunity and the invitation to speak with you about my viewpoint of it from an economic development and community development point of view. Unless there are any specific questions, I would leave it at that matter. I think that's.
Well, I think for me, it's the most significant part of this is that town boards come and go, but that we leave behind and in place the assurance for future boards to employ someone in that they have no choice. There must be a town manager who is our administrator and keeps us focused on those things which are important to the growth and development of the town, quality of life for our citizens. And, you know, the plus about that too is that if we should have someone who is not very desirable, there's no job performance evaluation. That person serves at the pleasure of the board. They can be here one day and gone the next if they are not performing. So I just think it's being in administration for 25 years, I see it as a very sound and solid step to take to assure this town that we move forward with a good administrator in the form of a town manager form of government. And I certainly think it's something that I feel very positive about and feel that it's something we leave to those who will follow us as a good step to take in the management of the town's growth and development. I welcome comments from any board members at this time as to how they feel or don't feel about it. I mean, it's strictly up to the board to address it. Well, I'll just poll you individually. Bunny, how do you feel?
I'm in favor of, a town manager form of government.
Okay, I mean, I can't, as Jamie has said, I can't say enough good things about Heather. And I mean, it can be that future boards may say, oh, we don't need a town administrator, but if someone has to be there to be in an administrative forum for our council, it is to keep us focused on the ball that we're moving forward for quality and growth of our town. Judy, how do you feel?
We're not voting on this tonight, so I'm not making any comments.
I think we are, I thought we are voting on it.
No, we are
Oh,
not.
we have to have a public hearing.
No, we are
First, you
not
have to have a
voting.
resolution, and then you'll have to, for your intent to move towards that, and then you have a public hearing.
That's right, the public hearing, okay.
Yeah.
So, okay, Denise, do you have any comments, or you can remain silent if you wish?
Well, I'll just reiterate what I said last time during our discussion. I think it's a very important discussion to have. And it seems like a very positive move for Burnsville. So I was gonna research a little bit more myself too.
Okay. All right, Russell, do you have any comment in your pew?
First of all, that I don't echo, but I'm echoing to myself. If I am, just tell me, I'll shut up.
What did he say? I can't hear him.
He was echoing. He thought.
Yeah. Am I
What did-
echoing to you guys?
Are you speaking into, I mean, I think you had the problem I had with the High Country Council of Government. Don't know that we're hearing you exactly.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I
You're
feel like
for us to take the necessary steps to move forward as far as the public hearing and so on and so forth, right?
Yes, yes.
I think I heard, did I hear yes?
Yeah.
I think he said yes.
He said yes.
I know that when I first came on board and attended the league training session,
Yes.
We had the class where they talked about administrator versus manager. And we were told that it's recommended that we have the manager form of government. And most municipalities do. And it's just highly advisable, you know, and very few towns, no matter your size, are have stuck with the administrator form of government, and at that time, we didn't even have an administrator.
That's
We were
right.
still just the mayoral form of government. And you know, it was just not recommended. That certainly was not recommended. And the managerial form of government was strongly recommended for many reasons. So that's why I have thought the whole of my tenure that we should work toward that.
So if Heather, I'll yield to you on this. I mean, if, I guess, 1, 2, 4 of us would like to have the process move forward. I mean, I figure from Denise and Bunny and Russell and myself.
I didn't say that I
Well, no, I mean.
cared about the process moving forward. I said,
I
since
know
we
what you
were
said.
not voting, I did
well,
not have any comment.
The process moving forward is
Is fine.
is to follow the process and have the public hearing.
That's fine.
I mean, if all of us said no, then we wouldn't even do that. So I wish to establish that, Heather, that is the process we will pursue and see how the chips fall.
Okay, so just to let you know how that works is at your next meeting, you will have at that point a vote on a resolution of intent.
Okay.
To amend your charter, and it will basically state the amendments that you're seeking. And then, at that point, if it is adopted, then you will also call a public hearing.
Yes.
And that public hearing cannot be more than 45 days after the adoption of the resolution.
Okay.
So we're probably moving that into a couple of months. And then once, you've had the public hearing, 10 days after, if you approve, the amendments, then, in an ordinance, then 10 days after that, it becomes effective. It needs to be sent, obviously, to the Secretary of State's office. That's who passes our charters.
So you will guide us through that process? Okay, I mean, I assume that's at the wishes of the board, that we follow that process and see how it all shakes out. Am I correct in that? Okay. Do we need a motion on that, Heather, or we just, it's understood from the comments made, or what?
And I think it's in the minutes, and we'll come back with the resolution at the next.
Okay, that sounds good. Okay. Thank you very much. So I believe that, that covers my reports, and we now move on to, advisory boards and nonprofits, and we have a vacancy on our ABC board. I think that we have 2 people who have applied to fill the vacancy. Well, we have Eddie Bofford's term will expire in April, and Eddie Bofford has asked to be reappointed. He would like to stay with the board until the new building is built, which certainly is understandable. That is his request, and we have also an application from Brian A. Buchanan, not that one. This person lives on Robertson Street and would like to be considered for appointment. There's only 1 slot and 2 people are asking to fill it. So I will yield now for comments from the board. From Brian A. Buchanan and Eddie Bofford. Only 1. You got 2 people, only 1. So how
So
safe?
I make a motion to reappoint Eddie Bofford.
Okay.
Second.
You've seconded Russell, so we'll take a vote. You're saying yes?
Yes, to Eddie.
Yes to Eddie, and
I vote
yes.
aye for Eddie.
Okay. I would have to say that I think he deserves the opportunity to see the building completed, and then he would like to stay home. So I gather it's unanimous that Eddie Bofford will be reappointed. And we certainly appreciate Brian Buchanan for applying, and hope when another person's term is up and does not wish to be reappointed, he will consider our consideration again. So it is unanimous that Eddie Bofford is reappointed. Okay, Jamie, I guess we'll hear from you.
In just a second, we've had several projects moving forward, as you might imagine, that most of my time has been spent on due diligence with the league. That transaction, the acquisition of that property is supposed to close on the 1st of May. So we've been working through the various infrastructure components and connections and load demands. You've heard here about the water extension. That's one piece. We've also been in conversations with French Broad Electric about servicing their electrical needs and natural gas and other things. Those things have to be buttoned up before we're ready to close that transaction on the 1st of May. So that's really been chiefly what my time's been spent on, though we have had other projects that move forward, and we'll update you about those in future. But hopefully we're going to try to just plow through this and get this deal done so we can move on. It's been a while. Judy can vouch, it's been a while.
We certainly appreciate the good coverage about the Little Leaf in the paper recently. Okay. This concludes our open meeting. We do have some items to discuss in closed session dealing with employee evaluations and other things covered under the general statute. So I will entertain a motion at this time that we leave our regular meeting session and go into closed session.
I make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, so all in agreement, we will,
Aye.
thank you, it's unanimous, we will take a 5-minute break and then go into closed session. Thank you to all who have come and spoken.
That water, Shane is saying,